Hey, what's up everybody? Charles, mXrevival, out here in the shop again with Project Bank Owned, the 1997 Suzuki RM250 I'm going to do a full build on. Went ahead and pulled out all the parts bins for the 99. I got to comparing a few things such as swing arms, the frame itself, linkages, and trying to see what will work from each bike, if they are the same, if parts will work, and so on. So here are a few of the things I found. Also did a nice fat OEM parts order, so we got the ball rolling there, and I've yet to pull the engine out, but that's next. And I will also be removing some things from the engine as the frame acts as a third set of hands before I pull the engine all the way out. So I'll pop the cylinder off, I'll pull the magneto and stator out first, and then after that, when the engine's out and everything's sort of cleaned up, I can go ahead and split the cases and have a look at the transmission and whether or not we have any problems in there or things that need replacing. So let's get to it. I'll show you guys what I found with the RM 97 and 99 and their differences, and all this stuff is just good for the database as I build. And if you guys are building one too, 96 through 2000, you'll see a few differences and you'll figure out what works, what doesn't, and maybe you have something to add in the comments below that I haven't figured out yet. And so I'll go ahead and start with that. The first thing was right here with the linkage mounts. This is actually quite a bit narrower on the 97 versus the 99. And I think some of you guys know I wanted to try and use the frame from the 99 on this project because, as the name states, Project Bank Owned, the 97 frame actually still has a lien on the title, which is absolutely hilarious. But anyways, it's just part of the project and part of what makes it interesting. So things like that, the linkage, swing arms, shocks, they're all different. So anyhow, I could probably use the 99 rear end, the swing arm, the shock, the linkage, and it would all jive properly from a geometry standpoint. But the 99 swing arm is pretty trashed, and I don't really feel like going through all that and maybe needing to find another one because it is beat. And all the 97 parts are actually pretty nice. I was surprised. So I'm just going to keep it OG, keep it all original, and from there we will just see what we can do. For example, 97 swing arm, you can see it's got a large raised portion here in the center of the swing arm that this casting does not. You can see that the linkages attach a completely different way. On the 97, you can see there's sort of a recess in here where the linkage attaches, and on the 99 it protrudes out of the bottom. This thing is just, it's trashed. I don't feel like refinishing that. I think it's kind of a waste of time, especially when it's not original to the bike. Originally I was thinking maybe due to the fact that this has the more modern bolt pattern, I would have access to maybe a newer chain guide, but in all honesty, I found this one in stock, the metal plate on the outside, so all good, no problem. Again, the shocks are different lengths. The 99 shock is actually a bit shorter, things like that. Now, I know from experience that you can throw a 1996, 97, 98 generation engine into the 99 2000 frame, and that's one thing, that's fine. You end up having to use the pipe from whichever engine, no matter what frame it's in, for it to jive. So for example, 99 2000 pipe won't fit a 96 7 or 8 engine in a 99 frame. I think you get the point. Anyhow, where it comes in handy is these crucial components like the stator, for example, or magneto, whatever you guys like to call it. I went ahead and cleaned this up a little bit, cleaned the numbers off on both of them, so you can see these were pretty much not visible at all. Anyhow, they are the exact same part number. Stuff like that's great. So rather than building two bikes, I'm going to go ahead and just build one bike and have some good backup parts from the 99 that is totally roached. So anyhow, I wanted to share that with you guys. I wanted to also do a test where I refilled the radiators back up with just shop water as it's coming apart anyhow, just to see if there's something funky going on with what I referenced in part 1, which was all of the water behind the stator. On paper and in microfiches, I cannot tell how water would get to the stator side, but I figured, what the hell, it's coming apart anyways, and I don't think I'm going to see a leak, but it must have just been sitting outside in the rain and just getting water slowly seeping through the gasket material and filling up the stator side with water. So that's what's most likely. In my parts search, I did end up dropping about 300 bucks on OEM parts, so I have a nice fat order coming. And let's see, it's everything from complete water pump and impeller shafts to all the bearings, all the seals, all the case gaskets. And this is pretty much how I make a list when I do that. I put a little square by the item, and if I can get it into the shopping cart, I check it off. And so I was quite surprised to find that all of this stuff was pretty much in stock. The water pump parts, for example, there were only, one impeller shaft, for example, and I got it, so that was great. I'm sure they're elsewhere also, but went ahead and did some aftermarket parts viewing, not shopping yet, but things like ignition covers and rad valves or V-force reed cages, things like that. You can actually still get them for these old ass RMs, so pretty cool. So as I made my OEM parts list, it generally starts with a walk around of the frame. This is things like the special fastener that goes here, the rubber pad that goes under your gas tank, the grommet that goes in the exhaust pipe hanger, stuff like that that is crusty, you're going to throw out. I make a list. I go ahead and start keeping a list of what's needed, at least for round 1. And then I go ahead and walk around the bike and continue that list. And I'll show you some of the things, for example, that we're going to need, and hopefully it will help you guys when you are doing your own builds. And this is just something proactive rather than ordering it when you need it, the day you need it, when your frame comes back from powder coat. Well, I'll have this stuff before the frame even goes to powder coat, because I'll still be taking it apart. So the second that thing comes back, I don't have to wait for parts 3-4 days. I'm on it. I can scratch the itch. I can get into it. And here's a little example of what I mean by this OEM parts list here. So, for example, before powder coating, I know for a fact that these little pads where the ECU or ignition or computer or ECM or whatever you guys like to call it sits, those are going to have to go away, because obviously we can't prep the frame for powder coat and or powder coat over those. So those are going to come off and they will need to be replaced. So guess what? They were in stock. That was pretty cool. Other things, let's see. There is a plastic wire loom holder here. It has a little Christmas tree on the back, sort of like an automotive fastener, and it also has one of those reusable zip tie setups on it. I was able to get that out of the frame without breaking it. It's in good shape. I don't need it. Great. But if you break it and half of it falls inside the frame, well, put that on your list, for example. Bolts like these are specific on the bike. These radiator bolts, they are they're very specific. They are dirty as hell. I'm probably not going to clean up, and if I were to clean them, I'd probably burn the coating off of them. So things like that, maybe they'll make your list. This vent was missing for the power valve. It has a little brass union, as well as a clamp and a hose that goes over the side of the engine. That's gone, so that made the list. And it has been ordered. All of the pipe O-rings and springs and everything associated with this area, that's all been ordered. This bracket, for example, it's beat up. The rubber has sort of delaminated from the back plate, which is also triangulated. Somebody put a little square bracket behind it, which got the job done, but I'm not going to have that on the bike when it's all freshened up. So that got ordered. That's in stock. It's on its way. Awesome. The Kickstarter, it goes back a little too far. It should stop right about there, but it doesn't, because the bottom hub is really rounded off. So, sometimes you can rebuild these. There's a spring and a couple of ball bearings in here, and you can replace this screw and take some of the wiggle out of it. Well, they weren't shipping those parts, so, I'll have to research that a little more, rather than spend $180 on a new Kickstarter. And of course, the one from the 99 was absolutely destroyed. I noticed it had 2 different foot pegs on it. By the way, the holes were, the other side has 3 holes, this has a bunch of triangulated holes. So that's on the list, not ordered yet. I went ahead and skipped the aftermarket stuff for now, but we can get pegs for it, so that's great. The little carburetor vent hose, that's trashed. I know I'm going to need that. Rollers, trashed. I know I'm going to need that. Stuff like that. So the cotter pin, the washer, and the main pin for the foot pegs, that's all ordered because these are basically destroyed, and even if I clean them up, they will corrode again. So anyways, I'm stoked that I have the 99 as a backup parts bike. I had really hoped to build 2 of them, and honestly, when I found the 99, I had been looking for the 99 for a little while. I really wanted to build maybe a replica of the bike I had in high school that I loved. My first really cool 2-stroke. It was tricked out. Our suspension guy owned it. He had it all torn down. The frame was yellow, powder coated. It had a trick ignition on it from FMF. I think it had a lever, on the fly lever or switch on the handlebars that said torque or boost, and you could actually change the map, and this was years before mapping was really a thing, and they kind of faded away, but I think it was called a FMF AOF ignition. Maybe some of you guys had those when you were younger, or maybe you still do. But anyways, the 97 will do. I'm also stoked that I got it, and it will still scratch the itch of doing a build, and also, you know, the look of that bike that I had when I was younger, even though it's not going to look anything like that. I got a good database going up here, and hopefully you guys like it. It'll alter a little bit as we go, as most plans do, but all in all, I have a few good ideas, and I really just can't wait to ride it. And it's funny because I was talking to my buddy Dave last night. The 2-stroke craze is out of control right now. Everyone's building all kinds of shit, and it's going to be funny when we're all done, because we're going to ride these things and compare them to our 2017, you know, KTM Husky 2-strokes that don't vibrate, or, you know, our YZ250s that run great and have great suspension. And I'm wondering how thrown off I'm going to be by that. I'm going to be either in shock and wondering why the hell I did it, at which that point the saving grace will be that it will probably be so clean that it can sit in the house and please me that way. So in the end, it won't really matter. I'll have fun building it regardless. But it was just a funny conversation, thinking, you know, we'll get done with these bikes, you guys will get done with your bikes, and then you'll ride them and wonder why the hell you built it anyways. But just funny. Anyways, hope you guys had a great week. Just a short video, progress wise, on the 97. And next I am going to rip this thing apart and pull the engine apart, clean all this crap off of it, degunk it, and have a look inside and see, you know, is the transmission okay, see what we're dealing with in there, things like that. Does it need a crank? You know, I like keeping things budget friendly and also making them as loud as possible, and that's sort of just the common theme with my builds, is taking what you have, highly accentuating the build, and keeping money in your pocket. And so, you know, when safety becomes a factor, that's a different consideration. And so if the motor isn't tight, which there's no way it could be super tight right now, but you know, if gears need replacing or whatever it may be, then we'll just have to take care of it. And I'm really excited about this thing. I'm really excited to build it and show you guys. I'm really excited that I'm actually capturing it on YouTube now and on video in general. So something new for me. I'm getting used to the platform, and so far pretty positive response from you guys. Really cool. I appreciate it. I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't really have expectations. So anyways, this video has been more of a rant, and appreciate you watching. So stay tuned for more, and the next video will be the engine removal, parts coming off of it before it comes out of the frame, and then you know, stripping the thing down for powder coating. So anyways, thanks again. I'll see you guys soon.